always believed that the best move in each position, it's the one that brings you the best result, and the most valuable piece at the chessboard is one that brings you the most benefits at the given moment, at a certain moment of the game. But as for the openings, I studied many openings. My database included nearly 20,000 different analyses. I think I spent most of my time analyzing some openings, and Sicilian definitely would be number one. It's hard to make a different choice, since some of my most memorable games, as game with Karpov, game 24, 1985, or game 16, 1985, they were Sicilians. Some of these openings are no longer viable. For instance, my gambit in game 16, the one that had this devastating effect in Sicilian, it has been refuted. Knight b5, d6, c4, knight f6, knight c3, a6, knight c3, and I played d5 here. And then knight b4. It doesn't work, but the game 16 is still there. How can I ignore the fact that it was one of the most beautiful games I won against Karpov? And I also know that some of my games that I played with black, for instance, against Keres attack here, the games I won, that would not stand the scrutiny of modern players, because they believe that this is g4, g5 can work even if you start with h3. So after a6, if you start with h3 and then just lose time by just push g4 and g5. But I have my own, call it prejudices. I know that history doesn't stand still. It always moves forward. As chess openings, there's more and more we're learning. So for instance, in Najdorf, recently I saw top players not just playing h3, which by the way Bobby Fischer played, trying to play g4, but they even play a3 or h4. It takes for me some time to understand the rationale, but it shows that they always come up with new ideas. There's always room. Even here in Najdorf, 20 years ago, if anybody could tell me that you can invent a new move, I would say no, impossible. Because we played everything. A4, H3, G3, F3, F4, bishop E3, bishop D3, bishop E2, bishop C4, queen F3, of course, bishop G5. But A3 or H4, and trust me, there is a rationale. Which means that if you start looking at the opening positions, you always find something. And that's why there's a danger just to look straight forward to the final position. Now this is all 10, 15, 20 moves that have been made already. We don't want to know why these moves have been chosen by our predecessors. We just want to look at the position that is in the limelight. If you have appetite for opening studies, just look at early stage. There's always room, especially at the club level. It will be more difficult, of course, to make real improvement at 25, 26, 2700, though the moves that I mentioned, A3 and H4, are played by very strong players. A3 by Karjakin, for instance. The H4 also by 2700 plus players. My recommendation would be that you make an assessment, a genuine assessment of your expectations from the openings. Maybe you believe that you'll be comfortable by playing some sharp, though semi-correct openings. Like, let's be honest, King's Gambit, semi-correct opening. But it still can work if your opponent is not ready, because at the end of the day, it's not about objective value of the position only, but it's also about your ability to surprise your opponent. Sometimes surprising your opponent works well. I still feel that there's plenty of room for improvements, not necessarily for doing Fischer's 960, just reshuffling the pieces. But even with our classical, old-fashioned position, there's still plenty of room. But it will be your choice. I believe that now it's for you to make all this work, because unlike us 30, 40 years ago, you have almost unlimited opportunities to study these openings and to have a tree in 1 minute. That's 1 minute. I'm old-fashioned. It takes time for me. I'm sure for young players it takes 10 seconds to have a tree with all the games played in a certain opening. Some think some people think it kills creativity, but if you are open-minded, it could actually enhance your creativity, because you can see quickly what's happened, all the moves that were made before, and look for a new idea. I always believed that there was a room for creativity in the openings, and that's why I spent a lot of time looking for old openings that were abandoned in the 80s. Let's not forget, in the 80s, Evans Gambit and of course Scotch, they were just totally abandoned, belonged to the 19th century. Nobody expected these openings to make a comeback. I played it. I played against Karpov. I played the Scotch very successfully against all the top players, including my World Championship match against Karpov and against Nigel Short. I played Evans Gambit, though of course it didn't last for too long. Now we understand it's not refuted, but obviously White cannot expect to gain an advantage if Black is comfortable with playing this opening, and that few ways for Black to get a very decent position. But again, we're talking about top players. We're talking about strong grandmasters. But even within the realm of classical openings, you always have different lines, sharper lines or more solid lines. And let's not forget, we are moving from classical chess 5, 6, 7 hours to faster time controls. And the faster time controls, they can also have an effect on your opening preparation, because the opponent doesn't have much time to react on a surprise. So in Blitz, the opening preparation is different. In rapid chess, it's also different. In classical chess, whatever is called now classical chess, with 2-3 hours game, it should make you more reserved about tough choices that you can make in the opening, but sharp choices. But as many of you are engaged in playing rapid, semi-rapid, semi-classical Blitz games, I don't think you should be shy in looking for some options that may not stand scrutiny of the computer. It's not just, your machine finding the refutation. If there's only one way to refute the idea, what are the chances that your opponent, when the clock is ticking, or on a digital screen, seconds are floating, what are the chances that your opponent can make it? So making the choice of your openings, it's a personal assessment, and it's based on your expectations. Do you want to win the game? Do you want to surprise your opponent? Do you want to make difference for yourself? Do you want to feel comfortable? All above. I can emphasize again that openings are very important, but it's more important for you to feel comfortable. It's an opening stage of the game. If you're a good player, if you're a decent player, that's the first stage of the game. If you don't make terrible mistakes, it moves to middle game and end game. And you should not expect too much from the openings. If you're facing strong opposition, you should realize everybody today has access to the same computers and same databases. So while it's good to find a new move or a trick that could lead to a victory or some kind of a surprise, maybe it's not 100% correct, but it's a surprise that could take your opponent off balance, that's a good idea. But most importantly, my recommendation, my professional advice, would be to get position where you feel comfortable. Make sure that you can find a good response, even if you are surprised. That's why I recommend to study the history of the openings, just to know all the nuances that could help you to avoid traps or collapsing if your opponent throws a new idea on you. And then it moves to the middle game, where you can be comfortable by recognizing certain patterns of these typical positions, and then you should apply all the knowledge that I hope you learned throughout this course.